Hello and welcome to the channel. We are in the midst of the spoiler seasons from Dominaria United and the market is completely bearish. We're going to take you through the investment side of Dominaria United and we're going to see what's up and what's down in this coming set. And also we're going to reveal some of the cards we find really interesting. Stay tuned and let's get into it. Last time we talked a little about what we think of the coming set of Dominaria United, and I said I think it's going to be a smash hit. I actually believe so still, even though the coming spoilers, which have been up for some time now, they have me a little worried. Right now I think the set might need something to bind it a little more together. Right now I think the set is good. I think we have some smashing bomb hits. We have Liliana of the Veil, and she's going to hold up the price of the boxes in the future to come. But right now I'm a bit worried. I don't see the same coherence in this Dominaria United as I did in the first Dominaria.
Yeah, and I also think I have to say, and we've been discussing this for a couple of days now, I do think that there are some really interesting cards. I think they're interesting cards in type, in terms of the mechanics and the flavor, but I also think that missing a good, decent amount of cards that people can get excited about. I do think Liliana has people excited. I think some people mentioned braids on one of the comments for the last video, and I do think there are a lot of decent cards, but we need like more solid foundation to stand on. I want more rares that I will be happy to pull when I open my box. It will be a good investment, but for me as a player, I want to be able to open a few packs and get a lot of cards that I'll be really happy with and that I'll pretty much know will have a place in some of my decks. Dominaria United falls after this amazing set. Double Masters 2022 was a blowout set. People loved it. There were a lot of great cards and there was a lot of value. So I think we need to put that into the context as well when we're talking about Dominaria United. As a collector, you will find a lot of interesting things. We are going to have one textured foil in each of the collector booster packs. This means that you will have a chance of getting, for sure this time, a textured foil. I think that will be interesting and appealing to some collectors. Personally, I find it a little annoying. This is a part of the Wizards MO where they find something good, they strike gold, and then they just completely deplete it by overdoing it in the next set. So I wish they hadn't, but you will be able to get your textured foil this time around. I think the glass stained version is going to be really interesting. I think people are going to collect those glass stained legend cards, and of course there is the Lost Legends card. If you have deep pockets, the experiencing, pulling one out of a collector box will be invaluable to you. You could have gone out, if you have deep pockets enough, and just bought that collector pack, or just bought that Legends card or Legends pack. But the experience of pulling it out of a booster box is going to be amazing. So I do think we'll see some heavy investors, some big whales going out there and buying multiple cases of collector boxes. And this also brings us to the part where we need to talk a bit about how to buy into the set and how to collect the set.
When all these collector boxes are going to be cracked, prices will drop. So don't go out and buy singles right now, because the single prices right now are kind of high. The more packs getting open on the market, the more prices will drop. So I think there's a fair to good chance to get some really nice cards at a really decent price shortly after the set is released. And then further on, I think you're going to see that the prices will start to drift upwards, and I think the sealed box prices will be kind of high actually.
Yeah.
Look at War of the Spark. That set wasn't really popular when it first released. A lot of people were angry about, all these planeswalkers, and the planeswalker concept is going to be watered out. And if you look at the prices of War of the Spark sealed products now, it's really high. And I think, or at least I hope, that Dominaria United is going to take a sort of similar route.
Discussing how you're going to be buying this set, I think for the draft boxes, at least in the US, it's very different depending on where you're placed. Here in Denmark, the draft boxes are not being fire sold. They're being sold at the the new price, increased price from Wizards. But I know that in the US, and a lot of people who have access to Amazon and eBay, there is a fire sale going on for the draft boxes. I think the LGSs are just concerned that the value isn't there in the draft boxes yet. So I think that right now is a good time to go out and pre-order some of those really cheap draft boxes if you want to keep some sealed. It'll have a higher, growth and a faster growth because you bought it almost below what the MSRP should be. Let's just for a brief moment turn over to the collector boxes. These collector boxes are packed. Wizards haven't been taking any chances on if they are going to be, attractive and valuable. They just slam pack them with a lot of goodies. I personally think if we see someone on YouTube or Twitch open a really high value Legends card, it is going to be a game changer. So I think you need to be aware that the prices right now, the pre-order prices, if you can find a decent one, I do think it's worth considering if you want to keep one sealed, because as soon as something interesting is cracked on YouTube, I think it will add a lot of fuel for the hype train, and I think the prices will go up considerably.
Yeah, and also in the future, this set in the collector boxes is going to be the set where you could get Legends cards, you could get textured foil, you could get glass stained. You're having a lot of hits. So the textured foil was one of the big incentives for the collector boxes in Double Masters 2022. The glass stained increased the prices of Warp to Spark, and having some kind of lottery card. We saw it at Amonkhet, we saw it in Kaladesh. Kamigawa, yeah. It is going to make those collector boxes be really, really valuable in the long run.
So please do consider when it's the really good time to buy. For the singles, wait those 60 to 90 days so that the prices have come down. I don't think ordering ahead unless you really want to be very certain to get a specific card is a good idea.
Yeah, for the draft boxes, if you can get it cheaply, go get it now, because prices will begin to rise if some of the coming spoilers are going to reveal some good cards. And for the collector boxes, see how long you dare to wait. A big joke in all of this is going to be the pull rates. We saw on the Baldur's Gate that the pull rates in the draft boxes versus the collector boxes were quite dissimilar. In the draft boxes there were a lot of mythic cards, but those mythics were the low value mythics. And in the collector boxes, a lot of the mythic cards were actually the most valuable you could get. The picture was kind of the same in the Double Masters 2022. There was at least a big difference between the collector boxes and the draft boxes. In this box we have Liliana of the Veil. She's going to be stable, she's going to hold the value on the set, at least in the long run. But right now, in a collectible kind of aspect, it's important to see how great her pull rate is going to be. That is one of the big questions right now. What are the pull rates going to be? And are a mythic card really a mythic card? Just like with recent sets, we're going to make some statistics as soon as the draft boxes are going to open, and we're going to compare them to the collector boxes. So stay tuned for some of those videos.
If I was to sum this, Dominaria United setup right now as the current status is, I believe that Wizards are not stupid. They're going to dose out the good cards all along the previous season. So I think we've had a couple of good cards, but of course they have some more really powerhouse cards in store for us later on. The preview season of the cards is going all the way up till the pre-release, so the 2nd of September, that's when all the cards will be revealed. So of course they haven't got out all the magic yet. But even with that being said, I still think that for players right now, it's a good set. It's a decent set. There are some interesting cards. Also, we forgot to mention that there are some really interesting lords as well. So if you play tribal decks, certain specific creature types, there will already be revealed one. That's the Goblin Lord. Of course, cool, because I really love that one. But there will also be, I presume at least, and there usually is, a Lord in all the other colors. So for players, I think a lot of players want to see a bit more power. Not that it has to have power creep, but it has to be consistent with some of the recent sets. For the collector, there's going to be a lot of interesting cards here. I think there will be collectors who are just going straight after those glass textured cards because it's going to be beautiful to collect. Together with that full art, glass stained mana, I think it's going to be really interesting. There are also a lot of good cards here that people would want to have in their collection. The new Liliana, I think that's a really interesting card. It's of course, it's a reprint, but it has amazing new art. Personally, I love the new art more than the old one. I think the image is really interesting. There's a lot of layers of meaning if you know the background story. And also, I think for the investors, this is going to be a good set to invest in. But if I had the money And if I was going out and investing in a big way, I think I would consider getting a case of collectors, because the collector boxes is going to have the most value, and I think it's going to have the fastest price appreciation. We're going to present to you some of the cards we think look interesting right now. It's not necessarily the top picks, because then we could just have picked Liliana, Braids and Shouldered, or some of the other ones that are obvious, but some of the cards we like and think might be interesting. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button and giving us a comment. It helps a lot with the recommendation system and getting this video out. If you have a card you've been dying to know more about, put it down in the comment section. We'll do a little separate video piece on it, discussing the lore or the art or a combination of both. Thank you.
The first card I found kind of interesting was Queen Alenal of Ruadak. She is a green, white casting cost, and her power and toughness is star, and that star is equal to the number of creatures you control. A 3-drop that's going to be bigger quite fast. That in itself is interesting, I think. But what I really find interesting with this card is her ability that each time you create a creature token, then you create an extra 1/1 white soldier creature token. That's a lot of tokens, and if you pair that up with, for instance, Jennifer from Streets of New Capenna, or Jetmir, who increases the power with tokens if you have enough of them, or Halo Fountain that can win you the game with tokens, I think you have a kind of strong tactic right there. It's going to be a great token generator. Also, you could combine it with Gala Greeters for even more token shenanigans. So that's my first pick of a card I think is really promising in this set.
I think Sarah Paragon is going to be a really interesting card. I think she's a version almost of a Sun Titan. But I really like her ability. The ability to constantly get stuff up each turn, a permanent from the graveyard, I think is really powerful. I think it might be something that could make Angel decks continue to have a place in the meta. I'm not certain that she's powerful enough, because as we all know, Kaldheim is going to rotate out in a moment, and we're going to need some replacements for those Valkyries. On that note, I do think there are several angels in this set that are looking pretty interesting, and I think I might be adding Sarah Paragon for sure to my own angel tribal deck.
The next card I found kind of interesting was Haunted Djinn. Haunted Djinn is a 1 blue casting cost, and he has star/4 in toughness. The star is equal to the number of instant or sorcery cards you have in your graveyard, and in a Spellslinger deck that could become quite a big number. So, and he's blue, so it fits the theme. I think you could combine it and make a good Izzet deck, a good Spellslinger deck. There's a lot of good burn spells in red right now in the standard, and we're going to get some new good burn spells in Dominaria United. Another good perk with him is that he reduces the casting cost of your instant and sorceries by 1 colorless. So he's going to accelerate your casting, he's going to become stronger each time you cast a spell, and he's going to be able to hit for a lot. And he also is a flyer, which means he has some evasiveness to him.
Shiv is coming back into the focus with a lot of dragon cards. Shiv is the place that the dragons, historically belong to, at Dominaria, and Dominaria United is bringing back a lot of those old tribes. So Shivan Devastator is an amazing dragon hydra in its creature type. You can cast it for red mana and X, so you can pump it, and if you do, it will come in onto the battlefield with the same amount of mana you spend on it as counters on it. So it can potentially be really big if you enter it in the late game. I think it's going to be a really fun card. It has flying, it has haste, so you'll be able to smash for it at the moment it enters the battlefield. I think it's a really powerful card. I see it in my red tribal dragon deck, but potentially also in some of those 5-colored dragon decks. And there are a lot of dragon support in this set as well, so maybe it's time to make yourself a dragon deck.
The last is Twincast. Twincast is a colorless mana and a red instant spell, and it has the text saying choose one. So you can either choose to copy your next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn, or you can choose to give target creature double strike. I think this is a better version of double cast or galvanic iteration or Twincast. So many of these cards have been in the recent sets and have been able to copy target spell you cast. And I think this is a slightly better card because it also gives you the ability to give target creature double strike. And remember that Haunted Djinn? I think if you give him double strike, that could be a game finisher. So that's the last card. What is your last card?
My last card is, of course, we couldn't leave this video without talking a bit about those goblins. We have gotten a new Goblin Lord. Gee, I wish he really was a lot bigger so he could protect himself, but he isn't, but still, it's a Goblin Lord. So Rune-Weld Horde Master is our new Goblin Lord. He's 1 colors and a red to cast him, and he's a 1/1. But his ability to add +1/+1 to all the other goblins you control, and his ability, if a goblin dies, that you may look at the top of your card and cast it if it is a goblin, is definitely interesting. I think we could see a lot of powerhouse, moves around those goblins. I'm interested to see how people will utilize him, because I see a couple of different ways he can be used. But together with Squee and a lot of the other goblins in the set, I think we're going to have a lot of support for the Goblin tribe, which I'm of course really happy about, because I do love to play my goblin. I think he's a fine addition, and he's really on curve, because a lot of the other Goblin Lords, they are at 3 mana cost, and this is only 2 mana cost. So get him in, pump up your goblins, get some Krenko going, put on that Goblin Pile Driver and have some fun pummeling your opponents.